This right here is going to save your wrists, elbows, and shoulders. What's going on, guys? Mike Sabo here with Basket Case Garage, and today I want to talk about a very special product. This is the Urmosi SBC 720 bar clamp. Now, before you get too excited, it's not a small block Chevy. SBC stands for soft bar clamp, and like I said at the beginning of the video, the magic in these really comes in these rubber inserts, and they really are going to save your shoulders, your elbows, and wrists. It's basically like a suspension system for your upper body, and you're going to get 360 degrees of protection. Before we go any further, I was really impressed by the durability of these clamps. Robert challenged me to destroy a pair of these things. We've got the blue set right here, and there's the yellow set here. They're both equally as durable, and I did put them through a number of tests. Let's have a look. First up is the vice test. Now keep in mind, all of these tests were performed in a state-of-the-art research facility using cutting-edge technology and performed by highly trained technicians. Don't try this at home. Well, there really is no damage. Next test is the highly researched vehicle runover test using a Chevy Silverado. We even tried the BFH to no avail. And finally, we sent a Savage Beast to shred it to bits. But it didn't work. All right, guys, so maybe not the most scientific of tests, but putting this thing in the vise and putting a ton of force on it and running over it with a truck certainly is not going easy on this thing, and you can see there's no damage on this thing whatsoever. But the durability of this thing is not the only thing that these were designed for. These are specially formulated specifically to help reduce arm pump while riding. Whether you're new to riding or an experienced veteran, you know that arm pump is a major issue while riding, especially if you're going on long rides where you're putting in lots of laps. It's just one of those things that eventually gets to you, and it can really fatigue you and cut your riding day short. Now, a typical set of risers like these Albas that I have right here, this is a great product, and they do have an anti-vibe system where there is actual rubber bushings that go into your steering stem, and that will reduce a small amount of vibration, but there's really no comparison to a system like the SBC 720, especially when you're riding really rough terrain or an older bike, specifically two-strokes. The vibrations alone can really get to your wrists. I know with me, my shoulders have become an issue. I just had my left shoulder repaired from a rotator cuff, and anything I can do to extend my riding time and reduce fatigue, I'm all about it. Now, the SBC 720 can be ordered in a number of configurations, but what makes this really special is that the core product itself is transferable to pretty much any ATV or dirt bike. Now, depending on what machine you're planning on using these with, there are different adapters to make them fit. So when it comes time to buy a new machine, you can always take these parts off and migrate them to your new bike. I really like that feature. There's also a number of other things that make this product a little bit more unique and sets it apart from some of the other things on the market right now. First off is the fact that you get 360 degrees of protection. Because of the way the clamps are designed, you'll have cushioning while pulling back in scenarios such as hard launching, and also while pushing forward in situations where you're hard braking or if you hit a stump or rut. All situations that would typically result in a shock to your wrists, forearms, elbows, and shoulders, resulting in arm pump. With the SBC 720, more shock is absorbed by the clamps and not through your body. It also has very good adjustability. Something I think is really trick with this system is they have raising blocks. So you can put this right on top of your adapter on either side, and you can actually raise your clamps up or down. You can also go forward and backwards. You can see the hole is almost like an 8 shape. So you can put your studs in the front, well, that'll be the back, but the front, and you can also put them back here, and that's going to give you a little bit of adjustability forward and backward as well. Now, to go over the parts that we have on the bench here, we've got the clamps themselves, then we have another set of bushings right here. You can see these are a different color. That's because Urmosi offers 2 different stiffnesses. You have these, which are for your more advanced and aggressive rider, and then for most riders, you're going to be using the yellow clamps in there, but they are interchangeable at any time, so if you'd like to test them out, you can always go back and forth, or depending on what kind of terrain or how you feel like riding that day, you can switch them out very easily. Next, we have the base plate right here. This is a mounting tool. We've got all our bolts and hardware. You've got aluminum bushings. These are going to replace your typical rubber bushings that go into an anti-vibe setup. All of the anti-vibe and cushioning and suspension is going to be in the risers themselves and not the mounting point. And then, of course, if you opt to get your raising blocks, that's what these are. And then, of course, you got your bar pad. This is offered in a number of colors, pretty much no matter what your bike is. They've got something that's going to match what you have. If you've got some radical colors, something like this one in a very neutral gray with a black background is going to match just about whatever you have. Now, I'm going to do my best to explain how these work, but you can see essentially this is a 2-piece design. So this pulls apart, and that reveals our undefeated, indestructible rubber piece. And that is what's It's completely removable. You can pull that out. That's how easily you could replace it with one of these more firm bushings, like so. You can see how this would go together. And that's what makes this essentially a floating unit, and it is entirely cushioned by the rubber. Now, the advantage to a system like this is that it's going to keep you feeling connected to the bike. Your bars are going to stay nice and solid, and no matter how far back you pull, how far forward you pull, twisting up, down, left, and right, the bars stay nice and linear, and that's what gives you that connected feel. Sitting on the bike while standing still and watching someone move these bars around, pulling back on them, pushing them forward, it can be pretty eye-opening and look pretty crazy. But when you're actually riding the machine, all of those movements are going to be your shock absorption, and you're not going to feel like those bars are moving around quite as much as it looks like. If you think about the suspension of your four-wheeler or your dirt bike, the wheels are moving up and down rapidly, especially when you're going over rocks, but it's keeping the machine feeling smooth. The SBC 720 is essentially doing the same thing for your upper body, and it's going to result in a lot less arm pump and fatigue. Now, as far as construction goes on these things, the body is going to be made of a 6061 aluminum. That is a lightweight, strong aluminum, and you're going to get stainless steel hardware with it. The finish is anodized, and you're going to get a 2-year limited warranty with these things. Now, when it comes to maintenance, these are virtually maintenance-free. However, Urmosi does recommend that you swap out the yellow bushings about every 80 hours and the blue bushings about every 100 hours. So if you're looking to pick a set of these things up, they're going to cost you about $400. Now, while that is a high price point, this is one of those areas that I definitely recommend making the investment. Just like with suspension, this is going to make you an overall better rider. It's going to result in less fatigue. And I would actually consider these a safety item as well, because it's going to give you a little bit more room for error when it comes to hitting unseen bumps on the trails. Okay, guys, so now you know what the SBC 720 bar clamp is all about. If you guys follow me, you know I have a pretty big following. And anytime I go to build something, when I'm putting on new parts or showing you guys what I'm using, I typically get a lot of messages from you guys giving me your experiences with the parts, whether they be good or bad. And this is one of the products that I have yet to receive even one remotely close negative comment about. Everybody seems to love these things. So I'm very confident standing behind these things and recommending them. If you guys have any comments or questions, or you want to share your experiences with the Urmosi 720 SBC clamps, or if you have a different clamp that you use and you want to share those experiences, well, please leave it in the comment section below. People love to read those comments, so it can help them when it comes to making a decision for whether or not this product may or may not be good for them. And I want to leave you guys with this. Now that I've gotten to know Robert, the owner of Urmosi, one of the things that I admire most about him is the amount of attention to detail that he puts into these things, and just his pure passion for the sport. Robert is a recreational rider himself, and something that makes Urmosi unique and sets it apart from some of the other companies is that Robert gears these products towards the recreational rider. A lot of companies will design their products based around factory riders and pure racers, which is great, but most of us are not going to be riding to that level, and to get the amount of performance return of those products, you need to be riding at an elite level, whereas the Urmosi products are engineered to give a high performance return for your average rider and weekend warrior. Now, that being said, Urmosi also works with pro riders to make sure that these things can handle the abuse of the pro racetrack, so they're going to work in either application, and that's what makes them special. So thank you for watching this video on the Urmosi SBC 720 bar clamp. I will see you guys in the next video. Peace out.